Wow. That's a very, very huge moon right there, man. Very. I'm not too sure if you guys can see it from all of the glare from the lights. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can sort of dim this picture a little bit. Yeah, there you go. You can see it a little better, just a little better.
Hey, why did you do that?
But this video of it's not doing this moon any justice though, man, But you can see the circumference of it, and you can see the glares on each side of it besides the lights here to the baseball field. That moon is very huge tonight. Very huge. Actually, it's a full moon. And, well, sort of a full moon. It's like the day after the full moon actually occurred, but it still appears to be full, but not as bright. Although it's very bright, but not as bright as it was yesterday. But as you can see, its circumference here is very, very huge still tonight, right? And as I was coming here, heading east, when you see the moon coming over the horizon, I mean, that moon looks humongous, man. Like if you just catch it coming out of its corridor on the horizon, if you're in an area where you can actually see very far, like at least 5 to 10 miles away, and you see the moon coming over the horizon, it's very, very huge. And it appears to have like a yellowish sort of orange color to it. It's humongous, man. But this video right here, just like I said, it's not doing this vision of the moon here no justice. But it's beautiful. It's definitely beautiful. Right now would be probably since it's after the sunset, this would be the 17th day of the month. Actually on the 15th day is the full moon. Okay, so just like I was saying, yesterday was the full moon. All right. Yesterday, or I should say the day before yesterday because of the sunset. But the day before yesterday was the full moon. All right. And then we went through the whole day today. And then now, of course, the sunset already occurred, I mean, that's pretty much not hard to tell there. There's no light from the sun towards the west. So it's a complete sunset. So this will mark the 17th day of the month, the 8th month to be exact. And there you have it. That's the somewhat full moon. It's now in the waning stages, which is the decline of its bright circumference. So although it still may appear to be full, but it's in the waning stages because it's the 17th day. On the 15th day, that's when it's at its full peak, its full power, right? And then on the sunset of the 16th day, the start of the 16th day, that's when it begins to go into its waning stages. All right. But I say that to say this. There's a lot of brothers and sisters out there, they're keeping the Feast of Tabernacles this month, which is on the 8th month, really. But, you have a lot of brothers and sisters, they claim that this is still the 7th month. Okay, but according to the ancient Hebraic timing, when you count the months in Hebrew, August is supposed to be the 6th month. All right, and then September, which is September, also 7, is supposed to be the 7th month. So according to scripture, you're supposed to have the Feast of Tabernacles and also the Feast of Trumpets and Yom Kippur, which is Atonement. You're supposed to have that during the 7th month, which is September 7. All right. But a lot of brothers and sisters, unfortunately, they're keeping, you know, the Feast of Trumpets, the Atonement, and the Feast of Booths during this month, which is the 8th month, which is October. And according to ancient Hebraic timing, October is oct, 8, octagon, 8 sides. So this is really the 8th month, not the 7th month, right? Now, there's nowhere in Scripture that tells us that we should add or take away from the timing, to add another month, which is a 13th month, or to add more timing on to the time that we're counting now. So in Scripture, there's nowhere that states that. Now, I don't know if these guys are reading the so-called Ishtamol or some other book or some science book or some, Kemet book or whatever that's telling them to do this, to add another month on to the year to make it 13 months, and to make this month the 7th month, which is supposed to be the 8th month. Like I said, it's October, octagon, 8 sides, which is 8. So I don't really know what these guys are following, but however, I do know, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's in the book of 1 Kings, the 8th chapter, when King Hezekiah has sent a letter or notice to the northern kingdom, who have already been repented and turned astray from the Most High, right? King Hezekiah was trying to get the northern kingdom, which was the 10 tribes, to turn back to the Most High and come and keep the Feast of Tabernacles with them, because they haven't kept any of the high holy days in a very, very long time. I mean, the year have already started, of course, and they haven't kept Pesach, which is Passover. They haven't kept the Feast of First Fruits, all right? And King Hezekiah, when he became king, he said, okay, well, we still have one more high holy day for the year to celebrate. So we're going to send a notice to the northern kingdom and see if those guys will want to keep the Feast of Tabernacles with us at least. And unfortunately, the northern kingdom turned them down, and they laughed them to scorn, and they said they will not keep the Feast of Tabernacles according to your timing, but we're going to do it according to our timing, right? Which was actually, the heathens' timing, because the heathens have conquered the northern kingdom, and a majority of the people from the northern kingdom was following the heathens' way, okay, which is also today, and so-called Ishtamol, and which they are doing now too. They're keeping the Feast of Trumpets, the Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles during this month too, which is the 8th month. But according to the biblical scripture, which is in Leviticus and also Deuteronomy chapter 16, Leviticus 23 also, just to let you know, and I believe it's in Numbers chapter 10. I'm not too sure, right? You're not supposed to be keeping those 3 high holy days during the 8th month. But according to the book of 1 Kings chapter 8, I think, all right? Don't quote me on that, but I think it's in chapter 8. It's when the northern kingdom decided not to follow the ways of the southern kingdom, which was the tribe of Judah and Benjamin and Levi also. But, Levi doesn't have an inheritance. So they was dwelling amongst the Judites and the Benjamites. So the northern kingdom made that decision not to keep the Feast of Booths with the southern kingdom. And just like I said, they laughed King Hezekiah to scorn, and they wind up keeping it in the 8th month, all right, which is October, which is totally incorrect to the Most High. The Most High tells the children of Israel that we should keep the high holy days according to the appointed times. It's a must that we keep it according to the appointed times. That's like keeping the Sabbath on a Tuesday or a Monday or something, or just like, the Nation of Islam, you keeping it on a Thursday night to a Friday night. You're not supposed to keep the Sabbath during the 6th day of the week or the 2nd day of the week, right? You're supposed to keep it during the 7th day of the week, all right? Now, when you look at the so-called Gregorian calendar, if you count from Sunday to Sunday, all right, that's 7 days, all right? Or if you want to count the Sabbath on the Gregorian calendar, that's also 7 days, okay? And then the day after that, which is so-called Sunday, all right, that's the very first day of the week. Okay, so when you count from Sunday to, you could say Friday, that's 6 days. And then at Friday sunset, that's the 7th day. So from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, that's the Holy Sabbath, which is the 7th day. All right, so the Most High tells us that we should keep it on the 7th day, not on the 6th day, not on the 2nd day. All right, so the same thing goes for the high holy days. You can't just keep the high holy days whenever you feel like it or want to, or whenever it's convenient for you. All right, unfortunately, for a lot of these, Israelites who claim to be of the faith, they're keeping the Feast of Trumpets, the Atonement, and the Feast of Booths in the 8th month. I guess because it's more convenient for them, or maybe it's because they're following the so-called converts in their tumult, or maybe because they just want to. Everyone's just following everyone. No one's reading the scripture for themselves. Everyone just, going according to the commandment of men, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these so-called Israelites that's of the faith, they're not reading the scripture for themselves. And it's like I said, it's in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 or Deuteronomy chapter 16 that the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths or Sukkot or SakkataYah supposed to be kept in the 7th month, which is September, last month, not in the 8th month, okay? And then, of course, the next month, which is November, Nav, 9, the 9th month. And then you got December after that, which is the 10th month. Decem, right? Diez in Spanish, which is 10. All right, that's the 10th month. And then after that, which is the 11th and 12th month, is so-called January. All right, that's the ancient Roman god name, January, after Janus. That's what they named that month after, but that's not what we follow, okay, according to the laws of the Most High. And then after that, you have so-called February, all right, which is another name of an ancient Roman god, all right, the ancient Hyksos Canaanite Roman god, okay. And the 12th month is the month that we keep the Feast of Purim, which is the time of giving, okay. That's basically like our so-called Christmas, when we give gifts to the children and the needy, all right. So that's how you determine the months of the year, all right. You have August, which is the 6th month, and then if you go backwards, you got June, which is the 5th, all right. And then you have May, which is the 4th, April, which is the 3rd, and then you got March, which this is the 2nd, okay, also known as the 1st, all right. So from the middle of March going into April, that's the 1st month of the year, all right. And then from the middle of April into May, that's the 2nd month. And then from the middle of May into June, all right, you're going into the 3rd and the 4th month, all right. So that's how that is, okay. So this, like I was saying in a previous video that I've done a few years back, this is the reason why they have the April Fool's Day, which is April 1st, around, like I just said, April 1st. That's because the real new year begins during April 1st. This is when things begin to spring forward, as they say. During the spring, it's called spring forward according to their timing. And during the start of fall, it called fall back. So that's when they change the hours, which is the timing. All right. So they fall back on the timing. And then when it's supposed to be around 7 or 8 o'clock, it's around 6 and 5 o'clock, because they try to go according to the sunrise and sunset of the sun. And you could throw the moon in there too, because the moon also rises and sets. But this is the reason why they call it spring forward and fall back, because they try to go along with the timing of the day, all right, according to the sun and the moon, all right. So this is the timing that we're supposed to be following, brothers and sisters. We're supposed to stick to the script and stick to the ancient Hebraic timing. September is the 7th month, October is the 8th month, November is the 9th month, December the 10th, and so on and so forth. January is the 11th, February is the 12th, March is the 1st, April is the 2nd, May is the 3rd, June is the 4th, July is the 5th, August is the 6th, and once again, the 7th month, when we keep the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacle or Booths or Sukkot or SakkataYah, is the 7th month. Okay? So, just as it says in the book of Colossians, I think it is the 2nd chapter, we're not supposed to judge anyone according to how they're celebrating the high holy days. I'm aware of that. But also, according to scripture, we're supposed to be keeping these high holy days in their appointed seasons or times. All right. So that's what I wanted to bring to you, brothers and sisters, this evening. All right. It's a lovely evening, by the way, too. Got a baseball game going. Let me see if I can brighten up this screen a little bit. You can see all of the cars out here. And this is how we're supposed to be doing it, brothers and sisters. Now, according to the new moon here, okay, as I brought up in the previous video. Now, if you're in the 7th month and you're keeping the Feast of Tabernacles when the moon looks like this right here, now, according to scripture, you're actually doing it right, according to how the moon is, okay, according to the phase of the moon, all right? You're supposed to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles during the full moon, not the new moon. Now, I see a lot of brothers and sisters, they're actually going off how the full moon is the new moon and the dark moon is the full moon, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, because in scripture, there's all kinds of hints that let you know that the full moon is this moon right here, which is the fully bright moon, or as I should say 2 days ago when it was actually full. All right, this is the 17th day of the month, right? So it's in the waning stages, like I said. However, when the moon is like this in the sun, the SakkataYah, when the moon is like this in the sky, this will let you know that it's the full moon, not the new moon. All right. And if you're extra seasoned in your studies, you can go into other books that also reference how the full moon is this right here, when you can see the full circumference of the moon, not when it's dark in the sky and all you see is this right here. You can't see anything. It's just dark and you can't see nada. All right. So that will be called the new moon. But when you're looking at this right here, this is called the full moon. All right. So you got a lot of brothers and sisters, they're keeping the Feast of Tabernacles when the moon is dark. Okay. They're already done with it. And that's not the way it's supposed to go. You're supposed to keep it when the moon is fully set in the sky and the full circumference is visible. Okay, so because back during the ancient times when we was in the wilderness and we came out of the first Egypt, that was our light in the sky, so to speak, Salakia. That was our night light. So when we was keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, and we was being joyful, we was being glad and thankful that we came out of Egypt, we came out of bondage. It was a great time for us. It was a great celebration for us. That's basically what the Feast of Tabernacles represent. It's a time of gladness and joy and mirth. So during the nighttime, when we had our bonfires or whatever, and we had our little gatherings, and we just out there just talking and enjoying each other's company, we had the full moon in the sky to give us light, right? We wasn't out there doing the new moon when it was dark, but unfortunately, some brothers and sisters, they think that the full moon is the new moon. But according to biblical scripture, the new moon is the dark moon when you can't see it at all in the sky. So this is the time of the tabernacle during the 15th day of the month, okay, during the 7th month of the year, all right, which is not in October. I say it again, it's not in October. October is the 8th month, okay. September 7 is the 7th month, all right. So even if you're in October and you're keeping the Feast of Tabernacle during this time of the moon phase, you're doing it correct according to the phase of the moon, but you're doing it incorrectly according to the timing of the year, because you're doing it during the 8th month of the year, all right. You supposed to have done that last month, okay. But this, like I said, according to the book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 17, I believe, it tells us that we can't judge each other according to how we keep the high holy day. But if you're purposely doing this, okay, because if you know that you were supposed to keep the Feast of Tabernacles and Atonement and the Feast of Trumpets during the 7th month, which is the last month, and you purposely do it during this month, which is the 8th month, then you're following behind those folks, man. All right, because those folks are actually doing it the same time as you. All right, so that's the way I take it personally. I think you're following behind those guys, or you're following behind commandments of men, okay, which is following those folks also. So if your so-called camp leader is keeping, or if he have ordained you guys to keep these 3 high holy days during the 8th month, then that your camp leader, man, SakkataYah, he must be following those folks, man. You know what I'm saying? Because according to scripture, just like I said in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 and Deuteronomy chapter 16, you're supposed to be keeping this during the 7th month, man. Right? So that's what I get out of it. You know, if you're purposely keeping those 3 high holy days during this month, then something's up, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you guys is not following the scripture as you're supposed to. However, if you don't know, or if you're part of a camp